The news broke like a thunderclap on a calm sea, shattering the early morning stillness and sending shockwaves across the region. What began as a routine day on the water would soon spiral into a global headline, capturing the attention of millions. Frantic radio calls crackled through the static, and grainy cell phone videos, shaky and urgent, quickly made their way to the world's headlines. Within minutes, the story was everywhere, spreading faster than the waves themselves. Chinese Coast Guard rams Filipino fishing boats, declared one major outlet, the words bold and alarming across screens and front pages. Fishermen injured in West Philippine Sea standoff, cried another, as anchors recounted the harrowing details with grave urgency. A peaceful morning of fishing had turned into a terrifying ordeal, as the calm was shattered by chaos and fear. The fishermen, who had set out before dawn, suddenly found themselves in the midst of an international incident. Manila protests, Beijing's aggression, and U.S. warships steam towards disputed waters, followed in quick succession, each headline more urgent than the last, as the world's eyes turned to the unfolding crisis. The world watched, holding its collective breath. In homes, on city streets, and in crowded public squares, people gathered around screens, anxious for updates and fearing what might come next. Each headline was a jolt, a stark reminder of the fragile peace in this critical waterway. The tension was palpable, as every new report seemed to raise the stakes even higher. The fishermen described giant white ships emerging from the haze, horns blaring, and the terrifying crunch of metal against wood. Their voices trembled as they recounted the moment their boats were rammed, the fear and confusion still fresh in their minds. This was no minor scuffle. It was a flashpoint. Years of tension boiling over into open confrontation. The world had seen standoffs before, but this felt different, more dangerous, more unpredictable. News agencies carried interviews with anxious families, their loved ones caught in a geopolitical struggle. Mothers, fathers, and children waited for word, their faces etched with worry and hope. Headlines shifted from the human cost, families await news of missing fishermen, to the strategic implications. Is this the spark for a wider conflict? The story was no longer just about fishermen, it was about the fate of nations. The United States responded, USS Ronald Reagan Carrier Strike Group deploys to South China Sea. The deployment was swift, a clear signal that the world's most powerful navy was now involved. The message was clear. The US was standing with its ally, reaffirming its commitment to the region and to the defense of international law. The initial clash had set the stage for a much larger, more consequential standoff. The world braced for what might come next, as military forces gathered and diplomatic channels buzzed with urgent messages. The headlines now documented the first moves in a high-stakes chess match between global powers, with every decision and every maneuver watched by a world on edge, uncertain of how this dangerous game would end. Imagine setting out at dawn in a small wooden boat, the sea your office. The salty air is thick with hope and uncertainty, as the horizon glows with the promise of a new day. For countless Filipino fishermen, this daily ritual is not just a job, it's a way of life, passed down through generations. For generations, Filipino fishermen have relied on these waters to provide for their families. Their livelihoods depend on the bounty of the sea, and entire coastal communities wait anxiously for their safe return, knowing that each catch means food on the table and children sent to school. Their colorful bankas, painted in bright hues, are dwarfed by the vast, unpredictable ocean, symbols of resilience and hope in the face of nature's challenges. But now, these small boats are also dwarfed by the massive ships of the Chinese Coast Guard, which patrol these waters with an imposing presence. These steel giants, equipped with water cannons and reinforced hulls, loom over the fishermen's boats, casting long shadows that stretch across the waves and into the hearts of those who depend on the sea. The fishermen face daily anxiety, never knowing if today will bring a safe return or a dangerous encounter. They are chased from their traditional fishing grounds, their nets slashed or confiscated, their hard work destroyed in moments. The constant fear of confrontation hangs over every trip, turning each journey into a test of courage and endurance. This is about more than fish. It's about sovereignty, dignity, and the right to live and work in peace. The West Philippine Sea is not just a body of water. It is part of the Filipino national identity and the economic lifeblood of countless families. An international tribunal affirmed the Philippines' rights here, recognizing the historical and legal claims of the nation. But Beijing ignores the ruling, continuing to assert control and expand its presence, disregarding international law. Every act of intimidation is a challenge to the nation's sovereignty, a test of the Filipino spirit. The fishermen have become reluctant symbols of defiance, sailing into contested waters as an act of assertion and quiet bravery. Their courage is immense, but the cost is high. Smaller catches, greater danger, and futures clouded by uncertainty. Their struggle to make a living is now entangled in international law, national pride, and the ambitions of a superpower, making every day a battle on multiple fronts. They are on the front lines of a battle they never asked to join, standing as guardians of their nation's rights and resources. Their simple act of fishing has become a stand for their country's rights, a daily declaration that they will not be driven away. The world is watching their fight for survival and sovereignty, as their story echoes far beyond the shores of the Philippines. Their story is now a symbol of resistance, an enduring testament to the courage of ordinary people facing extraordinary challenges. The incident that shattered the uneasy calm began like any other day. Filipino fishing boats worked a familiar shoal until Chinese Coast Guard vessels appeared on the horizon. What started as routine shadowing escalated fast. The Chinese ships circled, horns blaring, intimidating the fishermen. Suddenly one surged forward, ramming the FB Marylag. The sound of splintering wood and twisted metal echoed across the water. Chaos erupted as a water cannon slammed into the fishermen, injuring several and destroying equipment. The message was brutal: leave now or face worse. The Marilag was left damaged, its crew injured and desperate for help. Other Filipino boats rushed to assist, patching the vessel and rescuing the wounded. The Chinese ships lingered, then sailed away, leaving wreckage and shock behind. News of the attack sent shockwaves through the Philippines. The government issued its strongest condemnation yet, calling the attack barbaric and a blatant violation of international law. The incident was no longer a distant news story. It was a national wound demanding a response. Photos of the damaged boat and injured crew became symbols of the nation's vulnerability. The spark had been lit. The country demanded action. The world was now watching. Manila's urgent call for help was answered with remarkable speed and coordination. In Washington, the clash was viewed not just as a regional dispute, but as a direct challenge to a treaty ally and the principle of freedom of navigation in international waters. The USS John S. McCain, a formidable guided missile destroyer, was immediately redirected to the West Philippine Sea, signaling a rapid shift in U.S. military posture. Its arrival in the contested waters was a powerful symbol of American resolve and commitment to its allies. For Filipino fishermen, the sight of the U.S. warship on the horizon brought a wave of relief and hope. It meant they were no longer isolated or defenseless. But the deployment of the McCain was just the beginning of a much larger response. The U.S. Navy soon announced joint patrols with the Philippine Navy, marking a significant escalation and a new phase of cooperation. These joint patrols would operate directly in the areas where Filipino fishermen had previously faced harassment and intimidation. The alliance was no longer just words. Now, there was steel in the water, a visible deterrent to further aggression. The decision to launch joint patrols was a true game-changer, elevating the dispute from a local incident to a matter of international security and global attention. The credibility of the U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty was now being tested on the world stage. America's swift and decisive response denied China the opportunity to normalize its acts of aggression in the region. It sent a clear message that there would be immediate and tangible consequences for violence and intimidation at sea. The arrival of American warships transformed the atmosphere in coastal villages from fear and uncertainty to hope and determination. A line had been drawn in the water, and the world was now watching closely as tensions escalated. The stakes had never been higher, with the risk of conflict looming over the region. The alliance was now real, visible, and ready, standing together in defense of peace and stability. The joint patrols were more than a show of force. They symbolized the deep alliance between the U.S. and the Philippines, shared values, mutual commitment. Seeing the BRP Jose Rizal sail alongside the USS John S. McCain was a visual statement, united in action, not just words. For the Philippines, it was a boost to morale and national pride. The patrols deterred further aggression, creating a protective shield for Filipino fishermen. The alliance was now a real, protective presence with direct impact on lives and livelihoods. This unity was a message to the world. The Philippines was not alone. The joint patrols were a carefully choreographed operation. On the bridge, Filipino and American officers coordinated maneuvers, sharing data and intentions. Philippine vessel, this is U.S. warship. We are tracking multiple contacts, bearing 190. Visual confirmed. Contacts appear to be maritime militia. We are holding our course. Above, U.S. Navy jets and surveillance planes monitored the sea, sharing intelligence with Philippine ships. Joint training was constant. Boarding drills, damage control, building trust, and muscle memory. The patrols sailed through contested areas, peacefully asserting rights under international law. Their presence alone was a challenge to any claim by force. American and Filipino flags flew side by side, backed by air power and international law. The alliance was now tested and proven in real time. The message? These waters would remain free and open. The world saw a united front. The seas had new guardians. The West Philippine Sea is a global crossroads. 1/3 of world shipping passes through here. Trillions in trade depend on safe, open passage. Any disruption would shatter supply chains and threaten economic stability worldwide. The principle at stake: freedom of navigation, a cornerstone of international law. If one nation can claim these waters by force, it sets a dangerous precedent for the world. The region is also rich in oil, gas, and fisheries, vital for millions. The fight here is for global security, prosperity, and the rule of law. The world responded swiftly. Japan, Australia, and the EU condemned the attack and called for respect for international law. At the UN, the Philippines presented evidence, building a coalition of support. The crisis became a test case for the global commitment to a rules-based order. The stakes in the West Philippine Sea are about more than territory. They're about the future of the Indo-Pacific. The world faces a choice: a region governed by law or by force. The joint patrols and international response stand for unity and principle. For the Philippines, this is a defining moment, asserting sovereignty, strengthening alliances, and defending its future. The goal is peace, but peace based on principles, not appeasement. The unity shown here is a testament to the enduring power of alliances. The future of the region will be shaped by law and freedom, not by force.